Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Public Infrastructure, Environment, and Sustainability Committee. I'm looking for a motion to approve our minutes from February 22nd, 2021. I saw some faces speaking, but they were on mute. Can you try that again? Okay. Councilmember Burke? I think they can hear me. Is someone second that motion?
Candace Mum,
Okay.
second.
Great. Thank you, Candace. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Aye. Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, the minutes are approved. We didn't hear from anyone on consent items for discussion. So if you're a staff member and you're here from that, don't feel like you need to hang around unless you want to. I don't think we have any planned legislative update for today. So there's a few, the next three matters are really I'm going to brief on, and then Kara Odegaard's going to talk about the Sustainability Action Plan. So the first one is the Apprenticeship Program Updates Ordinance. It's in your packet. This isn't going to be put on the legislative agenda anytime soon. It's just kind of a kickoff public discussion. It does really three different things. One, it updates the ordinance on supplemental bidding criteria. So the legislature allows cities now to not just go with the lowest cost financially. They can also look at the other supplemental bidding criteria that the city puts in, and they can pick someone. If it advances the city's interests, including other financial interests, they could pick someone with a higher bid. It just gives us that ability to do that if need be. Secondly, it tightens the enforcement of this of responsible bidding and apprenticeship utilization. And then the third thing, which is the part that's going to take the biggest public conversation, is the utilization right now of 15% for apprentices, which has been very well implemented and I think embraced by contractors and workers, that's training up new employees while saving money on particular projects. It's only the overall apprentices. And what we've heard is that some of the skilled trades are not hitting that 15% level, even though there are available apprentice workers in those trades. And then we've also heard from some contractors that sometimes it's hard to get apprentices in skilled trades. So this would commit the city to 15% across skilled trades if there were at least 160 hours of work on a project. And that's basically 2 full-time people for over 2 weeks. And again, these are just the larger projects that the city's involved in. So we're just putting this out for initial conversations. I had a really good discussion with Marlene Feist about how we could move forward and get more conversations about it. Yes, Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, just wondering if we have specific data on apprenticeship utilization, because I'm hearing that there's deficiencies in the number of folks in the labor market, and that's making it difficult to actually hit those numbers. So it's not a lack of trying, it's a lack of bodies.
Yeah, so the challenges, I think, from the city as far as that data is that we have not been checking, we have not been monitoring that. That's one of the challenges. Hearing from some of the unions, they say, no, people are using laborers to do it when there are apprentices and skilled trades. So this would just incorporate all of that, but I agree with you that if there has to be an accommodation clause if a contractor is calling for skilled apprentices and they're not there, then they can't be penalized for it. So that's what we have to figure out. So we have to get the contractors and the apprenticeship programs and the labor unions in the same room and figure out how to do that in a smooth way that works for everyone. So, Scott.
Hi, Brian. I know this came up about September of 19. Same question, same perceptions. Sally's team does track the data really closely, and it showed some really good, insightful data. It would be probably helpful for council to see that updated data. I think Marlene's already reached out to Sally to have her team provide it again. I think what was being suggested at the time was not actually what was occurring. But Jason on Sally's team tracks all that data really well and can show the types of trades that are utilizing a high number, where those are challenging to meet. So I think it'd be good and useful information to see again.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that'd be great. Other questions, comments? Yeah, so again, this is just a kickoff of that conversation. So we'll be having some more public process on that, and it'd be great to get that data. Next is electric vehicles ordinance. Again, this dates back to 2019. This is seeking to get the city in compliance with laws that were passed well over 10 years ago that gave us a deadline of 2018 to start having an electrified fleet. And so this would just comply with state law on that and basically say if there's a comparable electric vehicle on lifetime costs, we should be doing that unless there's an exception, which there's a process for doing that. This expands to include leasing, since we're now doing that. We weren't doing that when we first started on this. And again, I think we've considered this a while, but it's a new council since we considered it. And we've been had some really good talks with Tanya Wallace on this. And she, of course, has announced that we have a new fleet director who's been selected and hopefully will be confirmed shortly, who will really be able to put their shoulder into this moving forward. And I think what Chief Financial Officer Wallace and I agreed on was that what we really need is to really get our handle on all the data around this of what our current fleet is and what our needs are, and do that. So this would support doing that. So any questions, comments on that? All right. The third one is a greenhouse gas ordinance, and this is looking at an existing ordinance that targets for the city. Since we passed that a couple years ago, the state updated their targets, and in our ordinance it says that we will update ours to match the state, which we have to do anyway. And so this is just doing that work, and it improves the overall reductions and sets out timelines of 2030. And I'm forgetting the other year, but then 2045 or 2050 to be a zero net emissions by 2050. Again, follows the state. And it also makes the point that the burden of it shouldn't fall disproportionately on lower income people in pursuit of those environmental goals. And any questions on that one? All right, so this next one I'm going to turn over to Kara Odegaard, and this is a Sustainability Action Plan update. She's been working with the Sustainability Action Subcommittee, which has dozens of people working on it, including good input from our utilities. And they have come up with a draft that they're ready to do public engagement. This is not City Council's draft or even the city's draft at this point. It's the subcommittee's draft. But once they have done their engagement, which she'll explain what that's going to be and includes council members and administration, then that'll come back to City Council for City Council to edit it and make it its own report on behalf of the city. So, Kara, I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Council President. Good afternoon, City Council. I suspect that half of you might be watching the Gonzaga game on another screen, so I'll try to be quick and get through this. As Brian mentioned, we've been working on a recommended update to Spokane's Sustainability Action Plan that was written in 2009. And we are ready, or almost ready, to release the draft to the public for feedback. I'm calling this a draft, and that's a little bit misleading in that this is not the first iteration. We've gone through and worked on this over the last couple years, in earnest, I'd say for the last 18 months. As Council President mentioned, the plan that you have in your packet and that we hope to release to the public later this week or next week is the full SAS recommendation, including our thought process and our messaging and how we got to the actions and strategies that are listed in the plan. As we are considering this updated greenhouse gas ordinance, this plan will help move Spokane to accomplish those more ambitious climate goals. So as we've been talking the last few months, we have our Sustainability Action Subcommittee has been working pretty diligently to put together a fairly intensive engagement timeline and engagement plan. We really, back in early 2020, we sent out a climate survey and received over 1,400 responses. We're hoping to get more than 1,400 responses on this plan, so it's really going to be a lot of work and take approximately 6 months. What's changed a little bit since the last time I was in front of you is that rather than engaging with City Council and the administration for revisions prior to the public engagement, we are going to do these in tandem, primarily to save time and to allow for council to actually hear feedback from the public before making their final revisions and hopefully adopt the plan into policy in September. A few pieces that I haven't mentioned besides, we are working on some digital materials so that volunteers in the community can go out and help gather feedback. And we're also putting together some digital communication material for City Council members. If you would like to share the plan and invite feedback with your network, we will make that very easy for you and get you those resources. So a couple items that I've been talking about the last few months that are not included in this final draft that is going out for feedback. It's a community action checklist. This is some actions and strategies that community members can undertake if they are interested in helping to reduce their own greenhouse gas emissions and to become more sustainable in their own life choices. We're also currently undergoing a partnership with Gonzaga's Business School to do some financial analysis throughout parts of the plan. The plan is really a higher level strategy, and a lot of the financial implications won't be known until we get to the implementation period or phase, And then lastly, the third component that's still being added is a communication strategy. So that's all I have for you today, but I really would love to hear from you all and ask you these two questions. First, do you have any feedback or concerns about the public engagement process? And second, what is the best way for the SAS to work with council members on receiving feedback from you? We can pretty much put together any kind of feedback process that is beneficial for council.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of the public engagement process, I just hope that we're really going to do our best to kind of get it out there to a very broad spectrum of folks and not necessarily just those who are kind of in tune with city goings on. I mean, this is potentially very impactful to a lot of folks. And I certainly have some concerns on affordability of a lot of what's in here. But my bigger concern or question is, will there be, in a final draft of this, will there be specifics as to the amount of reduction in greenhouse gas emissions for each of these identified policies, or whatever the policies are in the end, so that we can see specifically what the impacts will be of each of these on carbon or whatever the greenhouse gas may be?
Sure. So we have indicated specific carbon reduction amounts where we can. The goals and actions and strategies within the plan are a broad range of very specific actions and some more strategic partnerships. And so some of those actions will have greenhouse gas reductions associated with them and some will not. To answer your first question, we have already identified over 200 different organizations and individuals within the community, including business organizations and folks from different sectors of our community. And we are open to hearing who you think we should reach out to. So Councilmember Cathcart, if you have specific people or organizations that you would like us to specifically reach out to, please send me an email or let me know, because we're happy to do. We agree with you. We want this to be a very broad engagement, and we don't want to hear back just from the folks who we've already spoken to and who've already contributed.
I'll just add one last piece. It'll miss some folks, but just including something about this in utility bills would be a great way to get it out to a broader audience.
Great suggestion. Thanks.
Councilmember Wilkerson.
Thank you. Councilmember Cathcart, you went down my road, but about how to get it out to our whole community. But also on top of that, Kara, what is the educational information that will be out there? Because this will be so new to so many people that they may not feel adequate to even do the survey because it's something that has never really been introduced or been a concern in their communities.
I love that question, and I appreciate you bringing it up. One of our work groups within the Sustainability Action Subcommittee has a focus on communications, and they've been working for the past 6 months to put together what we're calling meeting in the box. But this is a set of materials that's off-the-shelf materials that any organization or community can have, and it includes a presentation. So we're going to have two options. If the person or organization involved wants to do this on their own, there will be a slide deck with scripting, and there is some very specific, Spokane-specific educational pieces of what we're expecting to see in our region in terms of climate impacts in the coming years. And talking a little bit about where our current emissions are coming from and what individuals can do, what parts of our life choices are affecting those emissions. And so there's going to be the option to do that self-guided, or we will have a recording of this presentation available as well. And the option for folks to schedule with us if they would like someone from our subcommittee to come to their organization and provide them specific feedback customized to their needs or where they're at in terms of education.
Thanks, Kara.
Other questions? Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on the public engagement. From the beginning, the subcommittee has been going out to neighborhood councils, not just the places of people who might be friendly. I mean, just really explaining it, because their goal is to, one, get feedback, answer questions, but really raise awareness that this is going to become a big issue for local government, regardless of what we do, one way or the other. So I think the whole idea is not for this to suddenly show up on a legislative agenda in September, but everybody who has any concern, and even if they don't know today that they have a concern, they will know and will get their feedback in so that we can adjust the plan to take care of things we've never thought of. Whether we do nothing or we do a lot, it will have a huge impact on everyone in Spokane. And so understanding that and making choices is good. And the second thing I was just going to mention towards Michael's question about, okay, well, which strategy is going to get us the biggest bang for the buck, essentially? is we do in the specific strategies, it tries to do that at a high level of what the projected impact is on greenhouse gas and the projected short-term cost and the projected long-term benefits financially and beyond financially. So you can kind of look through the strategies and say, all right, these are the ones that are really going to do it. Here's the most cost effective. And I think when it comes back to us at council, we may end up, this is just me talking, would have to be the whole council, but kind of rank them. Biggest bang for the buck, least cost, greatest long-term benefits financially for the community. And then the other thing, if you read through it, and it's a big document, great work has gone into it. It's really pleasant on the eyes to see, and there's a lot of things in it, but it really talks about, it's not just a matter of a narrow greenhouse gas reduction. It's how does this impact our community and our communities that don't have much income or communities that have been marginalized historically? How does it impact the business community? I know Kara met recently with the IBEW about their concerns about natural gas. And so that is the whole goal, is to spend the next 6 months doing that. So please weigh in. And then the final, I was just going to mention, Marlene and I spoke just briefly. We're going to be sitting down together and talking about how do we bring anyone in the administration, whether it's at the cabinet level or down to people working in the field, into that same kind of collaboration engagement and find out what people's concerns are. So I'm super excited. It's been a huge amount of work, but it's looking really good. And that is the end of council matters, except I would got one caveat. I'm just going to ask, well, maybe not. We have a potential resolution on violence against Asian Americans, and I didn't know if we need to talk about that at committee. So I'm going to hold on that for right now, but let's go to staff requests. And the first one is Inga Note on safe routes to school and WashDOT pedestrian bike grants.
Okay, now I'm not muted. Can everyone see the screen okay?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to cover, this is just kind of a touchback to tell you how we did on these two grants. So go through it fairly quickly. First one is Safe Routes to School, and just to remind you of the history on this and how we picked the projects that we applied for. We came in and got some council feedback in June and listed out where we were getting these from, which was requests from the school district, ideas from our 6-year plan, things that we had identified through the Highway Safety Improvement Program analysis, and also from our comp plan. And so from those sources, we put together kind of a short list of projects, brought it to council to get your feedback in July, and then sent in our grant application. So in December of 2020, we got the preliminary results, and these are the ones that we applied for here. And we were actually shortlisted on all 4 of them. So just to remind you of what they are, the first one is this Garland Avenue pathway, which is over by the new Shaw Middle School. That would run from the middle school, from the Hilliard Library, from the Northeast Community Center, and connect over to the Children of the Sun Trail as it is built over the next few years. This was the one that scored the highest out of the 4. The next one is an improvement near Bemis Elementary, and this was the next one, that second highest that scored within all of our city projects. So this one would install sidewalk on Liberty Avenue near Bemis and improved crosswalk at Crestline. Next one, Finch Elementary. This would install more sidewalks on Driscoll and also a crosswalk improvement on Northwest Boulevard. And the sidewalk is actually now, it looks like, going to be partially funded through a federal grant through SRTC. And then the last one was this improvement at Nevada and Joseph for Gary Middle School. So these are all on the short list. They, which means they're in the expected funding range that the legislature was planning to set aside, but we won't know until June for sure which ones will get funded. So then the next program, this is the Ped Bike program, and it's on the exact same schedule. Again, we won't know until June or July which ones are finalized. So on this one, we ended up putting in 3 applications: the Pacific Avenue Greenway, the Green and Carlisle pedestrian hybrid beacon, and a piece of the Millwood Trail. So this is the only one that was shortlisted for funding. And this is doing a pedestrian hybrid beacon at Green and Carlisle, which will be one of the places where the neighborhood can access the Children of the Sun Trail. And it also includes sidewalk on Carlisle Street, and I believe that extends all the way over to Freya. The other 2 did not make the short list, unfortunately, but we'll keep them in mind for the next time we have a grant opportunity that they look like they'd be a good candidate for. So any questions on those before I go on to the next one, which is the Highway Safety Improvement Program?
If you have questions, just volunteer because I can't see all of you. So,
Inga, this is Lori Kinnear. This is a great program. Thanks for pursuing it, and it's so important that we have safe routes to school for our kids. But I have a comment here, and Council President knows about this. We have some laws on the books that are working at cross purposes for sidewalks and connectivity, and that is as we do more infill and there are lots that are grandfathered in, they're not required to put in sidewalks or any kind of infrastructure that would facilitate kids walking to school. And I wanted to alert the council to this because I think we need to address it. Here we are doing all this work, but on the other end, we're saying, yeah, it's okay, you don't have to put in that sidewalk. So at some point, Inga, if you just advise us how to move forward on this, or if somebody else from Development Services could, I think that would be worthwhile.
Yeah, I think that would be a question for Developer Services because I don't know exactly where the threshold is where we require those types of improvements.
Council President,
yes.
the intent of being coming for these 2 grants is just to give you that reflection back in terms of process. Some of the feedback we received was not knowing how projects get into the 6-year program and just kind of appearing there. So I really wanted Inga to show you, as you saw on those slides, we started last June. We went through the process of understanding what was going to be eligible. Then we went and talked to council, and this is, say on this slide here, Inga, this is a good example. We actually talked about 4 projects with council, and it was during those deliberations and the feedback we got from council on our Highway 2 project that we went ahead and went that one for the other 3, and then as you heard, we only got one of those 3 out of the process. So once we understand if we're even on a short list, we then, of course, wait to know that it's going to be real. We wait for those letters to actually say we've received the dollars. We're not going to second guess what the state legislature may do or not do. But that process and that timing, of course, is their own timing compared to what we have to do for our 6-year transportation program. And of course, has to be basically done by June of every year. And so that's why you see them appear on the program and not necessarily being able to see and understand the background that Inga's sharing with you. So we pretty much feel like we're going to be pretty successful, but we have to wait and monitor. You're going to see a program come through that won't have these on here because we don't have any official letters saying that we have received the dollars. That doesn't mean that once we understand that we have the dollars that we won't start working towards implementing. And of course, in the next cycle, you will see us officially put it on the 6-year program because we do have those actual dollars identified for the projects moving forward. So I hope that gives council kind of that bigger, broader picture of what's going on in terms of process. And we'll continue to come forward every time we get a ped or bike grant and do the same process with council. And if you'd like, we can come back like we are doing today and give you an update before you see it again appear in the program.
Yep. That's helpful, and it is, I think the multiple touches is really helpful. And again, trying to put it in context, these particular programs we're only going for if we get grant funded. There are other programs in our transportation plan where we're actually committing our own local funds, potentially, whether or not we get them fully or mostly funded. And so it's each one is a little different. It seems like each program's a little different, and I think these multiple touches help. The concern about the last four in and the last four out really has more to do with the ones where we are providing the local funds and then putting them on the plan and hoping to attract grant funds, as opposed to this one where we're waiting to attract the funds and then putting them on the plan, I think. So it just depends.
Right, and obviously you're referring to the process we have around the matrix and the selection and the scoring. Those are the ones that come out of that process in terms of putting in the program, and that priority is already understood, and we are now waiting for those opportunities within the program, correct?
Yeah, great. All right.
Thank you.
Super, and great work, Inga and your team, on getting us qualified for so many and having other ones in there.
So this is the next one, and this is just the same thing, reporting back on what we received. I only have 2 slides here. So this is the Highway Safety Improvement Program, which is a federal program that we brought to you, I guess about 2 years ago, to tell you what we were looking at. And these project applications were completely driven by crash history, and where we had arterial collisions with multi-lane crosswalks. And so we did get one project funded, actually 3 projects that we packaged together as one. And those will be to install pedestrian hybrid beacons for these 3 crosswalks on Division at Rhodes Wiley, which is pretty far up north, Everett, which is about in the middle of Franklin Park, and then Longfellow, which is just not too far north of where the couplet comes together. So we've already been awarded the funds, and we are kind of going through the chartering process to turn it over to design sometime this year.
Great. And I guess these are consistent with the new Division STA plan would be if we designed them? Or is there a link with that?
They are, yeah. We tried to make sure that they lined up with their stop locations.
Great. Okay, you're still up yet again.
Okay, I have so many screens open. I'm just trying to find the right one. Okay, so Ray Freya. So I'm just going to kind of talk through what we've done so far on this study. These are the study goals that I brought to you before. The idea here was to look at the 20-year growth in the area, to evaluate the future conditions on the arterials, to look at alternatives to improve the traffic flow, looking at not just the arterials, but at a few local street improvements as well, and then also to take a harder look at pedestrian and bike improvements. Just as a reminder, this is the property that is already owned by the city and was purchased with the intent to build the crossover in the past. These are the 3 alternatives that I shared with the public. And so this was the first one, which was just installing signals at the intersection of 37th and Ray and 37th and Freya. The next one was doing a roundabout at Ray and a signal at Freya. And I have not updated these since we had the meeting, but just to give you an idea, some of the feedback I received is that a lot of people were not excited about having this bypass lane here and thought that would be unsafe for pedestrians and cyclists. So I'm taking another look at whether we actually need that or not, and we'll probably end up dropping it out of this option. We're also looking at widening the sidewalk around the roundabout to make it safer for cyclists to get around. And we're looking at ways to improve how cyclists get through the signal at 37th and Freya, because right now we're showing a Sharrow, and the feedback we got was that they really would like to see dedicated bike lanes going through the intersection. So we're looking at some ways to tweak these concepts. So I also included the original concept for comparison purposes, just to, to show everybody what the original idea was, and for traffic volume shifting comparison. So as part of the first public outreach, we did a big story map, which kind of stepped people through the purpose of the study, the history, the alternatives that we were looking at, and how well they performed. And then we also put together a survey, which was live for about 3 weeks, and we got 143 responses. So this was a breakdown of who the respondents were. By far, the largest percentage came from the Southgate neighborhood, 33%. Lincoln Heights was the next one down at 24%. And then about 10% from Spokane County, and I'm guessing those are mostly people who live kind of in the Glen Rose area and south of town off of Palouse Highway. And then we had just kind of a scattering of other neighborhoods that were in the vicinity. So one of the first questions on the survey was, what do you think is what is your biggest area of concern within the study area boundary? And the number one was 29th and Regal, which is one that we are aware of is a problem, but was not really the focus of the study. So I'm going to take a little harder look at what we should be doing there on the side as kind of more of our impact fee program. But I thought it was interesting that it rose up to the top there. The next one down was lack of safe bike and pedestrian crossings in the study area. After that was general congestion on Regal, south of 44th, and then 37th and Regal, 37th and Ray, and then lack of pedestrian and bicycle facilities below that. So this is a summary of how people who took the survey ranked the 3 alternatives that we shared with them. And this is all of the responses, all 143 who took the survey. You'll see that pretty much everybody agreed that no improvements was not a good solution. We had these categories broken down into best solution, good solution, neutral, not a good solution, or terrible idea. And I thought it was interesting that the crossover concept, the original concept, actually got the highest percentage in best solution. But then if you look at the signal concept and the roundabout concept, those both got fairly high numbers in both best solution and good solution columns. So I guess there wasn't a clear consensus across the board as to what everybody preferred, but it was interesting that, people liked different things about the different alternatives. So the next thing I want to share with you is just the same breakdown, but only looking at the Southgate and Lincoln Heights residents. And so one of the questions that we had is, do people who live in this neighborhood have a different perspective on what should happen here compared with the people who live outside of the neighborhood and are just passing through? And so it's interesting, it actually pretty closely mirrors the previous slide, where you still have a lot of people who liked the original concept, and then you have, a mixed response broken down for the other 2. So one of the questions I asked was, do people have other improvement ideas they'd like us to take a look at? One of them was a roundabout at 37th and Freya. And we've actually already laid that out, which I've got here on the right-hand side of the screen. And as you can see, it is pretty big. This is the size that we build them. But as far as the footprint relating to the neighborhood, it would probably require buying a couple of houses on the corners to be able to make this one work. But we're still going to carry it forward and take a look at it. So another one that a lot of people mentioned was they wanted the crossover concept, but with a roundabout instead of a signal at 37th and Ray. We're taking a look at whether we could do something with a second student entrance for Ferris High School, because right now they only have one and it funnels out into the intersection. Several people asked that we take a look at doing 4 lanes on Regal. So basically widening that southward from 44th Avenue, which we're not going to look at as part of the study because it's really kind of outside of the scoping area that we had looked at. And the general assumption right now is that it would be, I guess, too big of a project to acquire right-of-way to widen that entire corridor, and that we would rather focus on trying to get more traffic to utilize Freya and to improve the bicycle and pedestrian movement and transit use instead of widening Regal Street. So that's kind of where we're moving forward with this. And then the last one that I wanted to point out is I did have quite a few people who suggested connecting 42nd Avenue to Regal. And if you're familiar with the area right now, there is a little, I guess it's probably a 6-foot sidewalk that takes off on that right-of-way that goes over into Hazel's Creek. And it would be helpful just for general circulation in the area if we did have a public street connection through there. So I'm going to share with you just kind of a preview of some of the other ideas that we're looking at. They're not set in stone yet. I'm not done tweaking them. We haven't analyzed them yet. But this is just one of the other concepts that we came up with. This would be basically just putting in a curve between Ray Street and 37th Avenue, and then basically teeing in 37th from the west with a signal. And what this does is it gives you a three-legged intersection, which will operate a little more efficiently and give more green time at the signal to that through movement. And then we split out the school driveways, closed the original one, and I circled them here, put one on the west side and one on the east side. And with the idea that it would maybe spread out some of the school traffic going in and out and give the students a few more options and wouldn't consolidate all of their traffic going through the intersection. One other piece I want to point out here is we're assuming that the pathway, which would come up on the right-of-way, would be continued on the south side of 37th here. So this is a 12-foot shared-use pathway that would go all the way up here and then continue northward on Ray, and I'll show you where that terminates here in a moment.
Inga, this is Councilwoman Mum. May I ask a quick question? So I'm just wondering, this is really fascinating. I mean, great job looking at something real unique. There's so much excess land in those, I guess I'd call them extra triangles. Mm-hmm. Is there a way to make that more bike ped friendly instead of snugging it up against the road? I mean, is there a way to make that more separated?
There is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I drew it this way thinking that, we may want to use that area for stormwater, or maybe part of it like down in this area, we might need to replace some parking for Ferris if we have to take some out to fit the new driveways in. But, if there is excess space as we proceed in the design, then yeah, we could certainly separate the bike ped facilities a little more.
Yeah, just thinking with all the students, and they don't really need to stay right there with the lanes necessarily. I mean, there might be some interesting things we could do there to make it really more of a bicycle friendly into the school, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes. So another idea that we were playing around with is similar to that concept, only using a roundabout. And so with this one, we would still have a single school driveway, but it would be on the west side instead. And so this one, again, I have not analyzed it to see how well it would work. It may be that we don't have enough queuing space on 37th for it to work for the school district, but thought it would be worth taking a look at. So I also want to point out that just some of the local street connections that I'm thinking are going to be key to making this area work long term. I already mentioned 42nd Avenue, where we have a pathway right now, but long term we should have a street connection there, just to help provide some better access into this neighborhood and not consolidate all of the trips onto the arterial system. One that came up a lot during the survey was this one on off of Freya, and this is probably about 47th or 46th Avenue. So this whole neighborhood really only has one access point out to Freya, and it's right here. For whatever reason, we haven't required any other connections as plats have come in. And this is pretty close to where we're going to have a roundabout in the future at Palouse and Freya. And, you know, we'll do our best to accommodate that and make sure that they still have access in and out of the neighborhood. But overall, it would be better if they had a second access point. And so that's why I've added this one on here as something that we really need to make sure happens when that parcel comes in to be subdivided. And then down on the south side of the screen, you'll see I've also highlighted 53rd Avenue and Farrell Street, which is currently a dead end. And this is an area where the property owner came in with an attempt to do a comprehensive plan change last year. And I think there's another one coming in for this cycle. And we've, you know, part of our preliminary discussions that staff has had as they come through the process is that, okay, if you guys do succeed with your change in the comp plan and your zoning, then you're going to need to dedicate right-of-way for these public streets, because right now all of the apartment complexes in this area are pretty much pushing their traffic out to the west onto Regal. And we really need a way to kind of spread that out and be able to push a few more cars onto 57th and make it easier for them to get to the Freya corridor. So, any questions on the screen before I move on to the ped bike stuff?
This is Lori Kinnear, and I want to talk about 44th because it goes from Freya to Regal. Then if you go west, there's a portion that's unpaved, and Council President and I have been advocating for that, and that could be a solution to people who don't need to go all the way to 29th. So it would actually cut the trips on Regal or Freya and have 44th as an arterial, which it's supposed to be, but nobody's going to go over a moonscape to get west right now. So is that an option to bump up that paving and get that up and running so we can use that as well?
Councilmember Kinnear, I could answer that real quick for you. As you likely know, it was a request for the paving of residential streets. So ICM is looking at that section to try to get as much paving down as possible, because right now it's on the books for a future arterial. So we want to make sure it's got the thickness for that future as we work through that residential paving program. So we're getting as much as we can with the dollars we're able to pull together. I've been working with Council President on trying to figure that out.
And I know that that's great. I'm suggesting that we might want to take another dive and bump that up in the queue, look for additional money so that some of these changes can be implemented fairly quickly. I know there's a lot of development pressure in this area, and it would really be helpful to get that paved. So that's my pitch.
Nope, we're definitely working towards that.
And Catherine, it is high up on the unpaved streets queue, right? Isn't it like potentially this year?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's yes, we need some more conversation about just the timing with funding.
Yeah. Okay. Great point, Councilmember Kinnear. We're going to name that street after you, that section. Okay.
Hey, Inga?
Yeah.
Yes.
Quick question, just in terms of cost on the different designs that you showed us, are those all very similar in cost, or do they vary quite a bit?
The signals, just installing the signals on the existing road without changing the road footprint will be the cheapest. But we haven't gone through and done the detailed cost estimates yet.
And is most of that coming from grant dollars that we've applied for?
We have not applied for grant money on these yet. It is listed kind of generically in our impact fee program as Freya alternative improvements or something like that, expecting that we would want to use impact fee money towards whatever solution comes out of the study. And then once we've figured out exactly what we want to go forward with, then we would start looking for grant dollars and figuring out where it should fit into our plan.
And last question, can you just remind me what the geographic area is of where those impact fees would be coming from that would apply? Is it within a couple of miles? I can't remember what the rule is.
So the South District is pretty much all of Council District 2. And it also includes the West Plains. All right,
Okay,
sorry, not the West Plains. West Plains is separate, but it does include the 195 corridor.
Okay, but theoretically, an impact fee collected from, say, Eagle Ridge could be spent in this location.
That's how it's set up right now, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Council President, may I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So Inga, I just want to comment that last roundabout design, very elegant. That looks really nice. And I'm just wondering, of the options you showed us, which ones work the best in terms of traffic flow, lack of platooning, carbon emissions, that sort of thing?
So for those ones that I showed you, the newer ones, we haven't done that analysis yet. I'm just kind of giving you a preview of what we're looking at. And I'll probably know more in about a month or two.
I think that might be helpful overall. You did share with council the 3 options and which ones had the most impact, and maybe just reminding council of those as well.
So the original 3, it was the crossover version, the original crossover that moved the most traffic from Regal to Freya. And then the version with the roundabout at Ray and 37th was the second most effective, I guess, in terms of doing that.
And when do you think you'll be coming back to this for final?
I will show you. I've got a slide here, about 4 more slides down that has my schedule.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For that,
No, that's
I will show you.
I'm very sensitive to the schools, and I want to make sure, and I'm sure they're fully engaged, but, I hope when we analyze this, council, that it's not just about dollars or throughput of cars. We're talking about one of our major high schools, and there's a lot of traffic, and I think there's still an elementary school on the corner, isn't there?
There is, yeah, Northeast Corner 37.
So we've got to really make sure this works for walkers and bicyclists. So thank you.
So that's a good segue into the last few slides here. So I did ask several questions in the survey about bike and ped facilities, and this is just a kind of a summary of what I heard back from people. They want more enhanced crosswalks, more shared use pathways. They are concerned about the lack of sidewalks on the arterials. They would like to see leading pedestrian intervals on the signals. They don't like traditionally striped bike lanes. That is an interesting trend that's kind of happened over the last few years, because that used to be what everybody wanted, when I started doing this. And now the trend is really towards protected bike lanes. There were also some more comments about transit stop access, about encouraging bike routes on quiet streets like our neighborhood greenways or bike-friendly routes, and then several very detailed comments about wanting controlled crosswalks specifically on Regal. So I want to show you just a few of the ideas that we've been looking at. So I went out with Colin Quinhurst and I. We went for a bike ride a couple of weeks ago and went around this whole area and looked at everything and, brought our comments along. And so this is one of the ideas that we've been brainstorming, and this is to bring a shared use pathway. So this would be out of whatever we put at 37th and Ray. Let's just say it's a roundabout or a signal. We bring the shared use pathway up to the north on the west side of Ray Street, and there is room there. We have really big lanes on Ray Street is what we noticed, so we could shrink the road footprint, but still keep the number of lanes the same, and put in a shared use path on the west side and take that up to 35th Avenue, which has that big median running down the center of it. And we've kind of reached out to Parks, and they said, yeah, it would be fine to put a pathway down the middle of this if, you think that would be helpful. And so the idea here is that you get up to 35th and then go west to Fisk. And Fisk is already identified as a neighborhood greenway on our bike route. And so if we can improve Fisk going north, that would be a nice route to take people into the Lincoln Heights shopping district. And with another improvement, you would need something at 29th and Fisk to help them get across. But once you do that, that also makes a connection into the park, the senior center, and just all of the activities that are going on there. So this is just one idea that we want to bring back to the public and see what they think of it. And then the second one, and this is really from the comments about how hard it is to cross Regal. There are a lot of people who live west of Regal who want to be able to get over to the Hazels Creek area. And so we were looking at putting a pedestrian hybrid beacon at the intersection of Regal and Thurston and trying to figure out the best way to make a connection to the proposed trail that would go along the crossover right-of-way. So part of this presumes that we would pave a 12-foot path through Hazels Creek Natural Area, and this is okay to do from stormwater and environmental perspective. We just need to make sure that we maintain the existing wetlands and stormwater facilities. We can't remove anything, but we can pave on top of the existing pathways in there if we want to. And this would really help to just, provide overall bike path connectivity in the area. The one concern we have with this concept, though, is this is not city-owned right-of-way right here. This is owned by the school district. So I've been talking with them about how they would feel about having a pathway on the south side of their driveway there. They have some concerns, mainly that sometimes they might have students that will venture into the Hazels Creek area and do things they're not supposed to be doing back there. And they don't really want to encourage that. So if we were to pursue this, we would need to find a way to deal with their concerns and make it so it wasn't going to cause a problem for them. Another option might be to reach out to the broadcasting company that owns the property there and just see if we could shift the pathway down onto their side of the fence and see if they'd be interested in selling just that area right there. So that's one concept. The other one is similar, but it uses, instead of putting the pedestrian hybrid beacon at Thurston, we would put it down here on the 42nd Avenue right-of-way. And so that's where we have an existing sidewalk. We would improve that to be a 12-foot pathway and then have the hybrid beacon, which would come out kind of in the middle of that shopping complex. And the sidewalk on the west side of Regal is 8 feet wide. It's not ideal for a pedestrian bicycle path, but we actually do get a fair number of people who use it for cycling, is what we noticed. And so that could be a way just to enhance the accessibility of the area. So these are just ideas that we're still refining and are planning to take them back out to the community for discussion.
Great.
And this is the schedule that you asked about. So just kind of continuing to refine alternatives, and then we'll go through and do the traffic analysis and make sure everything works, and then take whatever we come up with forward and do a second public outreach. So any other questions?
Any other questions? Just volunteer.
Council President, could I ask one question?
Yep.
Just would like to understand a little feedback from Council, what you're thinking in terms of just a general. We've got a lot of feedback from the immediate neighborhood that puts the original concept almost 20% above the other two concepts, as well as with the pedestrian and ped work that you're seeing, and having the original having the most shift for the vehicles too. where council feels on that original concept at this point.
Yeah, we'll
Council
just
President?
go ahead,
I'll jump in.
Councilmember Mum, and then Councilmember Kinnear.
Oh, I just would like a little more time with it.
Yeah.
I need to dig down into the detail. I don't feel comfortable responding right now. I'm not as familiar with that area.
Well, no problem. It's just we want to make sure we're getting the feedback and aligning where we're heading here. And it was a surprise to us that particular one got so much feedback. That's why we're saying. And typically, our process is typically to go with the feedback and keep continuing the conversation. So I want to make sure we're bringing back what you're looking for.
Councilmember Kinnear.
Thank you. I have so many thoughts here. And I'm familiar with the area, so I know the congestion and the frustration that the neighborhood has been experiencing. I want to reiterate that we need to really look at east-west connections. Not everybody needs to go to 29th. And we do need to deal with the 29th and Regal intersection because it's really a mess. So I don't think that you can remove that part out of this entire equation. I'm more inclined to, as Councilmember Mum said, really integrate bike and ped safely in this plan. So whatever gets us there would be something that I would support. And I'm going to listen to the neighborhood ultimately when it comes to recommending. They're the people who are there more than I, so they would have a greater sense of what is going to work, and certainly I'm going to defer to staff and what's possible so that we have more throughput, fewer accidents, less frustration. And I concur with Councilmember Mum, we do need a little bit more time.
Other council responses? Yeah, I would just add. Oh, did someone say something? Okay. I would just add that if you look at the two, the best and the good, they're pretty all equivalent. I'm really not sold on putting a high-speed arterial through a high school campus. So that hasn't changed my mind on it. What I wanted to commend Inga and her team was getting so much mileage on so many pedestrian and bike improvements and other connections. I've felt for a while that a lot of the challenge in this area is the lack of those east-west connections that Councilmember Kinnear is talking about, which just a few of them, some money scattered around really could change things. But I was on the phone with the neighborhood council chair today asking about this whole area, and essentially they're still quite angry that Target was plopped down as a destination in a residential neighborhood without dealing with the Regal problem. I mean, that's the time it should have been expanded, and there's essentially, I can't speak for all of them, but for some of them, so angry about that, it's hard for them to even imagine some of these great things because that wound has not been healed. So I like, just for myself, I was intrigued with the new alternative, Inga, that you had of making it a three-legged intersection than that. I really commend thinking outside the box, and then especially all these ped bicycle options that I think can really make it easy for people to avoid trips within the neighborhood. But that's me, and it sounds like other council wants a little more time, but we'll come back to you. Other comments? All right. Really productive conversation, Inga. Thanks. It looks like we have Kyle is going to give us an update on Peaceful Valley landslide.
Thank you, council members. I'll just show you a couple of quick pictures here and let you know where we're at. So I know back in January, we had the slide area going on Clark Avenue, right at about the intersection of Clark and Elm on the hillside above that comes down from Riverside. So here's an image of what that area is looking like these days. You can see that shelf where the material has cracked and slid down the hillside there. A couple other pictures, you can see trees kind of with their root mass being completely undermined. That green pipe is a temporary sewer relocation that the sewer department came up and relayed that had previously gone down that hillside into Clark Avenue. And just kind of another shot of where you can see it, this is further towards the west, where it's sliding kind of right off of city property and partially onto private property there, where that crack is. So it is still contained to the two parcels, the city parcel and the private parcel adjacent. And where we're at today is we've gone out there and removed the trees that had to be fell up there. Actually, Avista's team helped us with falling a lot of those trees because they were at risk to their power infrastructure. We literally had trees sliding down the hill and rotating throughout this landslide. Reminder, it's a subsurface landslide, so it's not about erosion at the top that you would see from a hillside that was cleared. This is actually a slide plane moving many feet below the surface. So the entire, there's a nice healthy vegetative root mass and tree balls, and that entire mass is sliding with everything all at once. So we worked with the city departments and then also a contractor and have brought in over 2,000 yards of dirt at the bottom of the hill. And what that is doing is a couple of things. That is making sure that we don't lose the retaining wall at the bottom, because if that went, then we'd have a lot more mass that is unresisted. And then it's also pushing back up against the material that is sliding down the hill. And it has started to slow the slide considerably. It's doing its job. And so we've got some time, at least we've bought ourselves some time to implement a fix here, because we actually now have enough resistance at the bottom, and we continue to monitor it in case we need to add additional, but we're actually resisting the material that would otherwise be sliding down the plane. We created a path up onto that hillside with that dirt as well, so we were able to get a drill up there last week, and we've had a geotechnical drill doing pore sampling and doing boring so that we can understand exactly at what depth the material is changing and what the makeup of that material is. And then we installed a couple of pieces of subsurface monitoring equipment called inclinometers and piezometers. What we do is one measures the angle at where things are moving under the surface, and the other measures where water is. We are moving forward on the South Gorge Trail project. We've coordinated some changes to that project so that we can keep that moving forward, even though this slide area is right in the heart of a lot of the needed infrastructure for that project. And then we worked with Avista to design a new solution for their power infrastructure in the area that they are already moving on very quickly. They've had to set 8 to 10 new poles in order to move their facilities away from the hillside so that we can properly work on it and install what will be our future design solution. So the next steps right now are we have the subsurface monitoring equipment on site. We need to basically watch to see what happens for a little bit and understand the nature of what's happening beneath the surface. Then we'll start evaluating the potential design solutions at a high level, and then select one and execute a design that we will be bringing forward then for a solution. Probably still be a couple months out by the time we have it designed, though.
Questions for Kyle? All right. Councilmember Mumm.
Hi, Kyle. What a mess.
Absolutely.
I guess my questions first surround what is the city's responsibility and the private landowner's responsibility here?
So the city is responsibility for its own property. The only thing we've done on the private property owners' property is we've done a boring, which actually does help us understand the subsurface, what's going on across the whole area. But the design and solution will be the responsibility of the private property owner. They have a portion of the slide that's on their property, so they can choose to participate in our solution, or they can go their own way with theirs. Interestingly enough, from a risk perspective, the private property owner with the slide area also owns the property to the south up on Riverside. So they have that, they actually own the apartment complex and the property to the south there. So they're really kind of in control of their whole risk profile for the most part. The wall that is in front of their property is in the right of way, and that is ours.
Thanks for clarifying that. And I guess that kind of leads to my next question. Since it's sort of an undersloped slide, what do we need to have a larger review of the whole area? I mean, is it more of that side of that hill at risk?
We're at the moment worried about it going east and west. The concern is what they call a zipper effect, where it starts to go up the hill because there's a really steep portion at the top. That's the more immediate risk. The slopes taper out. They're not as steep when you get out of this specific zone right here. And it is, which is kind of backed up by the evidence of the historic slides in this area that we haven't seen in the other areas. We have other issues with water and things in other areas, but we haven't seen anything else to indicate, other movement in this general region. Our big concern is protecting the property so that it doesn't continue to tear up the hill, which would then potentially in the future undermine the apartment complexes up on Riverside.
So there it goes to the next question. Are we responsible, or should we, even if we're not, make sure that residents in the area understand what's happening and communicate with them? Because even, a lot of injection of water, when you've got that kind of a slope, can really accelerate some things, like lawn watering, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and like a big concern, roof drains as well going onto that hillside. So we're in communication with all three apartment complexes and their property managers to make sure that they're updated on what's going. There really is no risk to them in the short term right now. We feel very good about that. Even if this did creep up, like if we had a bunch of wet weather, then we still have, there's still a long ways between the top of the slide and where you would start to undermine anything. So we don't feel that there's any immediate danger to anybody right now, but we are keeping the property owners informed. We're working with the one property owner that had that sewer to get that routed back up into Riverside, so that's no longer going through the property. And then we're also taking a look at where the roof drains are, and exactly. Like if there's irrigation could be a component, but also parking areas and things like that. So we're having to look at all of that, and frankly, our solution is going to have to be robust enough to handle that kind of moisture entering that hillside.
Thank you.
Council President, could I just also have Kyle just address the construction project that's happening in Peaceful Valley this summer too, as it relates to this?
Sure.
The neighborhood's been particularly interested in that.
Yeah. So as you know, we started really late on this project. So we worked on Sandifer parking lot and got that all improved. It started some of the work down at Water Avenue. But the bulk of the project is actually Clark and runs right through the landslide area. So we've basically cut out a 350-foot section of the project right in the middle there, as well as the work that's on Elm. We do have a bunch of manholes and some deep infrastructure right there that we don't want to be in quite when we have that hillside still moving on us. So we're moving on the project on both sides of it. There's also some work that goes up towards Wilson on Maple right there. That's actually storm and CSO related work. So we're going to continue to attack the project all around the hillside area, and we will finish the project at some point. We've already talked to the contractor. They have every intention of finishing it, even if that means that they have to wait until next year to do this area. But if the stars align, we'll get our solution built, and they can build the rest of the project late this fall. Just hard to say if the timing is going to work out or not, but the intention is to complete the entire scope of the South Birch Trail project.
Anything else? All right. All right, Marlene, you're going to talk about UHelp. You're on mute.
I'm just going to share one slide quickly with council. But what we're trying to do here is just extend the flexibility we built into our U-Help criteria a year ago when the pandemic started. We still see the ongoing need for U-Help as part of the solution. We've talked a lot about delinquencies with you over the last few months. These two heat maps show January 2020 versus January 2021, and you really do see the increase. These are 90-day balances, which kind of gets rid of some of the noise of the 30-day type stuff. But you can see, as I know Councilmember Casker has been very concerned about, that Northeast Spokane is really lit up here. You see West Central. So we have a lot of folks who are suffering still with the pandemic. Our balances are continuing to grow. Our total amount owed for 30 plus days past their bill due date is now at about $5.3 million. If you recall, before the pandemic started, we had in the neighborhood of $2.3 or $2.4 million in that amount owed category. So we've more than doubled that from before the pandemic. So all this ordinance will do is increase or keep that flexibility in the U-Help to allow us to continue to help as many people as we can through the end of the year. You may have seen that the governor did extend the proclamation against water shutoffs because of non-payment and late fees through the end of July. So we feel like when we're going to get another rush of customers needing assistance will be after that expires in the summer. So we want to be prepared for that. We're also working with the mayor's office to identify where we might be able to use some of our assistance dollars to help some of these utility customers. With the new funding that's coming is a lot more flexible. The middle amount of money that came was really dedicated to renters, and that's where we struggle a little bit in our utility billing area because we required that the account be in the name of the property owner. So it gets tricky in being able to funnel tenant dollars to landlords. So that's what we're working either through that, and then also there's more of that flexible money coming. So this is just one step in our ongoing process here. I did want to ask, Council President, I do have you down as a sponsor, but since this is a ordinance, I will need a second sponsor as well.
Can we get a second? Councilmember Cathcart. Yeah.
I'd be happy to be included.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So that's kind of where we're at with that, and we'll keep you posted as we know more.
I guess my question, because this latest round of federal rental assistance can be used for this. Do we have enough staff to process that, or are we going to need a third-party contractor to try to qualify people and get that figured out, or have you thought about that yet?
Yeah, if we have to individually qualify people, they did a little more of a blanket assistance with some of the energy bills. The county gave some money to some of the energy utilities. So it would depend on what kind of qualification we would have to do. We've been working with SNAP. I don't know their capacity to take on more, or if we could, help them higher up for a project like that. But that's a very good point. I don't think our staff would have the ability to. Plus, we probably don't want to necessarily be in the business of reviewing people's personal financial information.
Right. Okay. Great. Thanks. All right. We have an update from Dustin Bender on upcoming implementation of twice a month, every other week recycling pickup. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Council President and everybody. I've got a few slides to share. We're getting close to rolling a pretty good message out, and then ultimately the system starting up on May 3rd. So let me get to the screen share here. Can everyone see that?
We can.
Okay, so anyway, so we've accomplished quite a few things to date that we've needed to, obviously, to ramp this up for a May 3rd start date, and I'll roll through some of those on this next slide. So obviously the important key accomplishments to get this ready for public consumption. We had to develop the routes, map them, and establish a start date. That's all occurred at this point, and there's another slide that will show you the collection maps as they relate to the every other week service. The changes to the new routes obviously impact staffing and equipment. We've successfully negotiated that with 270, and in fact, those new routes will bid tomorrow afternoon. So we'll have some clarity there.
Dustin, we're not seeing your PowerPoint. We're seeing the map page on the website.
Oh, no. Okay, I got to move it to my other monitor. Thanks, Marlene. Is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. So the cart production slot is booked. The tagging piece of it is identified, and the delivery schedules for the upsize carts are known by the vendor, and there'll be more information on the last slide as far as the time frame goes. GIS has produced an overall map right now of how the weeks will lay down. Again, that's on that next slide. And once the days are complete, once they've mapped the individual days, those will overlay on the customer view of the maps on the city website. The outreach plan has been developed, and part of it's been implemented already. So the initial mailer went out just kind of with a preview saying upcoming, watch for more information. And I've had some comments about it, some positive and some that are just questioning, how we're going to do it, and we welcome all of those comments and questions. We have upsizing protocols, so we're going to operate the new routes every other week through the month of May, and then make some assessments in the field as we're seeing extras and different needs for the larger cart. A waiting list is being compiled by 311 and the solid waste clerks now, so we'll be able to get ahead of that a little bit before the carts start to arrive in town and then ultimately get delivered to the requesting customers by the vendor. Another slide you'll see briefly is the collection calendar, and it's complete, and they will start to mail out in mid-April, just inside of the just outside of the start date of the new collection system. And then we've developed, with the help of Chris Major and the Public Works team, along with the 311 folks and the solid waste clerks, we compiled the frequently asked questions page, and so we're able to answer the bulk of the questions without frustrating the customer at this point, which is obviously our goal, especially when you look at the magnitude of the change. So those are being used right now by those that are interacting via phone or otherwise with the customers, and those will post to the city website as well. Any questions?
Hey, Dustin, this is Karen Stratton. Thanks for the presentation. I just want you and Marlene to know that this last month for my neighborhood councils, that was one of the things that I reported. And the feedback that I'm getting is pretty positive. I haven't had a lot of negative comments, but people really appreciated that first mailing that went out. That was kind of an overview of it. That I think it came in utility-based. They appreciated that, and I have not gotten calls in the negative. I've had questions, but it's been pretty, as far as Northwest neighborhoods and what we've been able to see, it's been pretty positive. So I just wanted you to know that.
And thank you. And we know that's important, and it's always tough when you unwind a watch a little bit and change something that we're all accustomed to. So I do appreciate that feedback, and I've heard a lot of similar comments. So thank you. So here's the collection map as it's been developed, kind of on a broad basis. So we will collect basically the entire south side of Spokane as it's outlined here and bordered on week A. we were hoping to split the city kind of in half, but just the way the cart counts are and the customer counts are, just to allocate our staffing and equipment properly, we ended up with a kind of a small pocket there where we'll collect on week A, but the bulk of the north side will be week B. And this accomplishes a couple things for us. I think it's clear instead of having, kind of a polka dotted map where you've got all these different weeks and days that, you can look at it kind of broadly and go, okay, week A is my collection week and week B is my collection week. So that we think that offers us a lot of simplicity, at least for the customer usage point of it. And then operationally, what we really like is we have obviously fewer routes, but the trucks are congregating in a more concise area typically. So if we have a breakdown or an open route, it's just much easier to accomplish any anomaly over the course of the collection day by having those boundaries drawn as such. Any questions? And then the customers will start to see these calendars in the next few weeks. So again, this is the corresponding collection calendar for week A, which, as we saw, was basically the south side of the city with a little pocket up north. So they'll get this. It'll run in perpetuity to the course of the calendar year, and they'll have a point of reference. This will also be on the website for the recycling and solid waste pages. So if somebody does lose a postcard-sized calendar, they'll certainly be able to access the information. Again, week A and week B. So we'll develop I think Rachel's almost developed the mailing list, so you'll get a specific calendar instead of a broad global calendar. So if you're in week A, you're going to get a week A calendar, and that should alleviate any initial confusion. Any other questions? Any questions?
Not seeing any.
No, move this forward. So the next steps as we move again towards May 3rd is to get the GIS overlay on the website that indicates the new system schedule. That'll coincide with the solid waste map, which I'll refer to in a moment, and just kind of give you all an overview of what that will look like when the customer accesses it. The mail collection, we're going to mail the collection calendars to the customers again in April, and again, I think that'll ward off some of the looming questions that people do have as far as what week will be theirs. The 95-gallon carts, we've got a briefing paper that'll be going forward in 2 weeks for our existing vendor of the recycling carts. And then we'll utilize multiple media outlets to deliver program messaging. I'm sure the newspaper will put another article out as we get closer, and then I know Marlene will be proactive with the television media and our digital messaging as well. So we'll start, and then all the existing carts that are in place will start tagging. The vendor will start tagging those the last 2 weeks of April, so people will know that they're week A, week B as they pull their card in after collection. So all the touch points, I think, between the initial mailer and the calendar that's going to go out, and then the additional information on the website, I think it's going to be pretty robust as far as alleviating a lot of confusion, concern, and just people not knowing what's really going on. And again, we're establishing a delivery list now, but we'll refine that and grow it as we start collecting in May and throughout May. And starting in June, that list that's been again compiled by customer request and observations in the field, those cards will start to roll out to the customers throughout the month of June, and it possibly could be complete by the first 2 weeks, according to the vendor's expectation. And then I'll flip down. Are there any questions? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to, you've sort of implied it, but I've been telling people who are concerned that they'll have too much recycling to wait for 2 weeks that they can get these larger carts, and I assume that doesn't cost them anything. They just have to request it.
No, there won't be an additional fee for a larger single cart. People who are paying will continue to pay for the service that they require. Most of that is is the commercial cart user for sure.
Okay. All right.
With a few exceptions of a residential customer that currently has more than one 64-gallon cart, and that will continue to that rate will continue to stay in place even if we upsize them to a 96-gallon cart.
Okay. But if someone has a residential 64-gallon and they're concerned, they can upsize it at no cost to them.
Correct.
Okay. Great. Any other questions? All right. Well, I hope you're not going on vacation in May, because a lot of people are going to be looking for you.
I probably won't be going on vacation until September.
Okay.
And I did have one more link I wanted to share. Just as the map on the city website gets developed, this is the map the customers can currently use to flag their pickup day. So the change to it would simply be that your collection day is Thursday, Route 574, and your collection week is A, or your collection week is B, depending on where you lie within the new routes.
Okay.
And that is all I have.
All right. Great. All right. So we don't have much time and lots of things to do, folks. So future speakers, including myself, go super quick. But Kevin Picanto is up next.
Yes, good afternoon. Nice. Share my screen, that should be coming up.
Yep, we see it.
So just presenting today on a grant opportunity. This is the SRTC Street Preservation Grant. First, just some kind of background and criteria. Again, it's focused on street preservation and maintenance only. So the full reconstruction type projects are not eligible for this grant. $6 million the SRTC has set aside countywide, coming from their federal allocation of funding. Some of the specific criteria are $1 million max per project and $2 million total per agency that can be awarded. It's really focused on arterials, 13.5% match. Local match is required. These projects would likely be targeted for construction in 23. Our applications are due by the end of April, and as of now, looking in the range of 3 to 5 applications for various locations. The criteria is heavily focused on pavement condition index, 30 points out of 100 points max, and it is weighted, to the kind of higher or upper middle range of PCI index. The other criteria are listed here, from economic vitality to stewardship to mobility, and within each of those 10 to 15 point categories are subcategories that roll up into those 15 points. In terms of locations under consideration, we turn to our 6-year street maintenance program developed by the street department. Look there for the first kind of list of projects. The bulk of these projects are within the 6-year streets maintenance program. We further focus on principal arterial type projects, because those are the projects that are going to score the best based on the scoring criteria. I'm not going to go down one by one each of the projects listed. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we're not going to apply for all of these. So we're going to have 3 to 5 applications ultimately from this group of projects. And we're in the process of evaluating each and identifying the projects that we believe will score the best within the grant program. So that is it. Any questions?
All right.
I have one for Kevin.
Councilmember Mumm.
Hi, Kevin. Seeing how much money seems to be flowing to cities for transportation, do you think this evaluation process could be used if potentially more grants become available?
You know, the challenge with our grants is they're all very specific with their own unique scoring criteria. So really, it's really a grant by grant process that we have to evaluate. You heard Inga speak earlier about Safe Routes to School and Bike Ped. Each of those, every program really has its own criteria. So a project or location that might score well in a certain grant may not score well at all or even be eligible in the case of some other grants. So unfortunately, we kind of have to go through that evaluation process really on a case-by-case or grant-by-grant basis to identify the projects that we feel are going to compete the best.
So good answer. So customizing it. My second question is, why just do 3 to 5? I mean, were you told that by SRTC, or could we ask for more?
Well, I expect that they will be, I mentioned that there's a $1 million cap on the amount of the award per project. I will probably target some of the projects that are going to be approaching that range, are going to be in the $700,000 to $1 million range. And they'll only award up to $2 million total per agency. So at the end of the day, if we apply for get awarded 2 projects for $1 million, the third and fourth project wouldn't even be eligible because we'd already be at our limit. So we're already submitting, frankly, more applications than will likely get funded, just to your point, to kind of have a deep bench. And because there's a little bit of subjectivity, even though we try to estimate how they're going to score, there's some subjectivity. So we try to have, kind of our third and fourth place projects, if you will, in there in case they're viewed differently and they're actually, one of those scores second best amongst our projects.
And my final question is there any money or improvements for maintenance for sidewalks or bicycle facilities in these applications?
This is focused on roadways, so the answer is no on sidewalk side. Bikes, not for a separated trail like the Centennial Trail, but bikes would benefit, of course, from the street pavement improvement, and that is one of the subcategories that I mentioned, where if your proposed project is improving a road where there's a striped bike lane, then you score a couple extra points on.
Well, I'll speak to my colleagues at SRTC because I actually believe sidewalks are part of the roadway. So we'll have a little conversation with them about that. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions on this? All right, rolling into another SRTC item. As many of you know, the legislature passed a new law and required SRTC to invite any tribes within our Metro Transportation Organization area no later than August of 2021. And we have 2 tribes that would be eligible. And I have been sitting on the group of the interlocal agreement group, which includes all sorts of small cities. And it's separate from the SRTC board, which Council members Kinnear and Mumm sit on, but we are close to an agreement, and essentially, oftentimes the way these things go is we're just going to expand the board. So the 2 tribes, it looks like, it's not finalized, but it looks like the Spokanes and the Kalispels will each be given their own vote, and then also cities over 1,500, instead of sharing a vote, will get their own vote. Cities under 1,500 in the county will share one rotating person. So the impact is it will increase the board members to 21. I'm not sure what it is right now, but 16 to 18, somewhere in there. Someone else probably knows that. But it'll be bigger, but we are going to explore moving to a more robust executive committee. And essentially, Spokane County, City of Spokane Valley, and City of Spokane each have 2 votes. So that process is rolling forward. I imagine we'll be back in a month to 6 weeks with an agreement for consideration by council. Any questions on that? All right. Then, Garrett, see if you can do your aquatics thing in less than 5 minutes.
I'll do it in 60 seconds,
Yes,
Council.
Perfect.
60 seconds.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Council. Thank you for this opportunity. This is just an additional discussion of, since we had our last discussion at Urban Experience Committee. What this is a resolution for supplemental support for the expanded aquatic season for 2021. As you know, we're not to our pre-COVID revenues in Parks and Recreation, and that usually supplements our expenses for our aquatic season. And what this does, it gets our base model that we can support within Parks and Recreation of about $213,000. That would be a level of service of roughly 13,000 citizens. This takes us to the next level with an additional 220,000 to have almost 60,000 participants. And what that does, that expands the open swim, and that's really focused around the youth. And that number does not include what Phase 3 will look like. Phase 3 will be an expanded capacity as well, so we see that 60,000 number growing. And so why are we doing this? It really is just the assurance for staff. We're going to start hiring and getting everything prepped here the beginning of April. And we're very vague on where the funding source comes from because we think there's going to be a lot of opportunities once some of the federal assistance comes in as well. So what this does, it just gives our staff some assurance that this is the direction we want to go as a city, and we can start staffing that. And we hope to have this one-page resolution in front of the council within the next few weeks. Any questions?
And I just wanted to clarify for people, I invited Parks to submit this. Several council members have spoken to me. They support this program, but we just kind of need something in writing so that they really know that we're serious about it. So we'll get a chance to review it further, debate it, and then vote on it. And as Garrett mentioned, there's quite a few different funding options available for it, and they won't need the money until June. So we have plenty of time to do that. So, Councilmember Wilkerson.
Just want to applaud Garrett. That was less than 30 seconds.
All right. Thank you. Okay. If you're still out there, Amber, we've got some much needed vacancies to fill, big shoes to fill, and you're going to give us a quick overview of that, I think.
Indeed, yes, and I am still here. Thank you, Council President and Council members. So we do have 3 positions to bring forward for Council confirmation. One is for the Director of Public Works, bringing forward Marlene Feist. One is confirmation of Richard Giddings for an appointment to Fleet Services Director. And one is confirmation of Jeff Teal for appointment to Facilities Director. Their packets are attached, and I just have some additional very brief details about the processes that were used for each of these individuals. So obviously Marlene has been working for the city for a number of years, starting in 1998. She started as Public Information Coordinator and has worked her way up to a variety of different roles throughout the organization, most recently serving as the Director of Strategic Development for the department or the Division of Public Works. So she's got a depth and a breadth of knowledge of the organization and the division that makes her uniquely qualified for the position. So she is the first up. And then for Fleet Services Director, the process overview for this, we ran a recruitment for this position. There were 62 applicants that applied. 20 applicants met the initial screening criteria and were forwarded to the hiring manager for review. From there, we had 5 candidates that were selected to participate in 25-minute phone interviews. And then from that part of the process, 2 candidates were selected to go through WebEx interviews and participate in in-person interviews with members of the Fleet Services Department. They were also given tours of some of the central services centers. So Mr. Giddings, Richard Giddings, was selected out of that pool of initial candidates for the position of Fleet Services Director, and he's got 24 years of management experience in the automotive industry. He's got a comprehensive set of skills in company and customer fleet management, asset management, customer service, and employee training and development. And we believe that his industry knowledge and strong leadership skills will make him a tremendous asset to the city and to the Fleet Services Department. So he is the second candidate that we're bringing forward. And then third and final for this round is the Facilities Director. So for this recruitment, we received a total of 68 applications. 21 of the candidates met the minimum qualifications and were forwarded to the hiring manager for review. 6 applicants were selected then for phone interviews. And of those 6, 3 candidates moved forward to participate in virtual interviews and with a panel of stakeholders and subject matter experts. And they also participated in on-site interviews with employees and management from the facilities department. And out of that pool, the individual that we are bringing forward, Mr. Jeff Peel, had an in-person interview with the mayor as well. He was selected for the appointment, and he brings a unique and diversified skill set to the city and to the position with over 21 years of experience in facilities management, strategic leadership, and buildings and ground maintenance. So those are the 3 candidates that we have for your consideration today, and happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Amber?
Yes.
Lori Kinnear. Thanks for all the hard work on this, and I'm especially grateful that Marlene's going to be stepping up as utilities director, because I've known her for so long and we get along, so it's all about me. But my clock. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to anyway. Some of us have been waiting 4 years for the Office of Civil Rights to be filled, and I'm wondering what your timeline on that is.
So my understanding is that there's some ongoing conversations about that position with NHHS and getting that process underway. I know there's some other high priority positions as well that we're working on trying to move forward in addition to that. So, but it is moving forward. That is my understanding. Just trying to make sure that we have a solid understanding of what we need to do to recruit for the position. And you have every right to put me on the spot, and I can certainly bring back some additional information to get you a more accurate timeline for that. I do understand that it's important to you.
It's not just important to me. I think it's important to most of the council. And I would say I appreciate that there are other positions that need to be filled. However, we've been waiting for 4 years. And so I'm kind of done waiting. I would really like to see a lot of movement on this. Thanks.
Understood.
Councilmember Cathcart, and after that, Councilmember Stratton.
Yeah, just wondering, do you know when we might see another pool of candidates for plan director? I think that's probably one of the most important things for the future growth of the city, and would be great to have that filled sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so that is a great question as well. We're actively working on both Community Economic Development Division Director and Planning Director. We've gone out for procurements for running those recruitments and should be underway with that hopefully shortly. We were waiting on some additional direction. There have been a couple of conversations about the Planning Director position in particular and sort of what is the best what is the most expedient and best way to move forward with that position to make sure that we get a highly qualified candidate in a very brief amount of time, also for the most efficient cost as well. So there's a couple of things that we're still kind of waiting to finalize there, but it is also a high priority from our perspective, and it is actively being discussed and moving forward. So good question.
Councilmember Stratton.
Hi, Amber, it's Karen. A couple questions, and I probably should have looked to see this, but on the 3 that we're approving today, the 3 positions, I know Marlene lives local, but are the other 2, are they relocating for these positions, or are they from this area?
I believe they're all like regionally located. I do think that, I want to say, I had pulled their personal information out of the packets. I do believe that one is relocating here, but also from within the what I would consider to be regionally.
Okay.
But I can certainly follow up and get you that information.
Yeah, I was just curious. And then my other quick question, do you know when the mayor is going to make a decision or going to announce her choice for city administrator?
I believe that should be occurring at some point this week.
Thank you.
Councilmember Mumm.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking on the prioritization of hiring. Maybe we need to have a direct discussion when we have our one-on-one meetings with the mayor. I'm okay waiting on approving these other ones until we get that civil rights one, if that's what we need to do to clear the field a little bit so it can be focused on. And on the, so I'm happy to talk with other council members who might be interested in that. And then on the price for the planning director, I'm glad to hear the update, but that was the first time I'd heard that there might be a financial reason. And if it's a financial barrier for some of the people we're looking at, let's have a discussion at council level. Maybe I misunderstood.
I think maybe I made that more confusing than what it needed to be. It's really, we were trying to figure out, we had gone out for a procurement to do the recruitment with a firm. And so it's really just, we know that it's a high priority. We want to get the right person in that role. What is the most appropriate way to get the best qualified person in the position as quickly as possible for as minimal of a cost to the organization, not salary wise, but so if I said that incorrectly or made that unclear, I apologize.
Okay, because to kind of where Councilmember Cathcart was going, time is money here. So let's, if we're trying to cut corners, I don't think now's the time to do that on this sort of a position. But I think I understand what you're saying now. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilkerson and then Councilmember Cathcart.
So, Amber, I guess my question is the salary range for the positions we're offering now becoming a barrier in this competitive market? Are we competitive to get the best person for the job?
I think that is a conversation that is probably an ongoing conversation about just looking at our class and comp, both internally and externally. I think that we are, I think in some areas we're competitive. I think in some areas we may have some work to do. I don't necessarily think that that's the case for any of these positions in particular. At least that's not really what we are hearing, and I don't necessarily think that that is going to be a barrier for finding a good qualified candidate for the roles that we're going to be actively recruiting for. I do think it's a good topic of conversation that needs to be looked at some point in the future, though.
And just to add to that, we need to look at that, but we also need to look at how many people are being paid at a grade. And when we get to situations like Betsy asked, then the city says, well, we'll pay you out of grade and give you more money. And sometimes they stay in out of grade for 2 years. So, I mean, that's a big discussion, but we do need to have it.
Absolutely, I agree. And I think that we need to look, I don't want to get off track, but I think a comprehensive classification and compensation study is really the most appropriate place to start with that, just to look at things holistically and to make sure that we are equitable in our pay and competitive as well.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think an analysis of how competitive the city is in terms of employment would be really beneficial. Make sure that we're able to get the best candidates for these various positions. But I would just say I don't think we should hold any of the mayor's appointees hostage to get something else. I mean, it's a two-way street. We start doing that to the administration can hold up other things as well. I just don't think we should go down the road of our U.S. Senate, which does this sort of stuff on a daily basis. We should, I think, work together, collaborate. We can find a path forward.
Yeah. So I just want to add to that. We made an agreement in the budget that we would hire the civil rights person at the same time or before the brand new division director. That position doesn't exist, or no one's served in that. So I am hoping that we'll get that one. And Amber, we can hire a project employee. I know that there's always a delay in civil service on a new kind of position, but there's nothing in the way of us hiring a project employee to be the civil rights officer at this point from an HR standpoint. There's might be discussions that need to have, but we don't have to wait for civil service. Is that fair to say?
I don't believe so. I want to make sure I'm checking my facts and not giving you an incomplete or incorrect answer, right. But I believe that is a viable option, but I would want to just verify that I'm correct on that.
Could you email us all back on council once you've done that to make sure that we understand that's not a barrier? So.
Yes.
Okay. Action-packed meeting today. Oh, my other question on these 3 appointments, when are they coming to council for confirmation?
So they should be coming forward. I believe that they're, sorry, I'm trying to run through the timeline in my head. I believe they're going to be coming forward not next week, but the 5th for approval was my understanding, because I don't believe there's a meeting.
So there's
Am I
a
getting
meeting.
that right? I don't believe
we
there's
don't
a
have
meeting next week.
No, we don't have a meeting the 5th. We do have a meeting the 29th. So 2 weeks from now, we have a meeting, but we don't have a meeting on the 5th. So if you get it to us by the 29th, we can get them started by April 1st. So, yeah.
Copy that.
Okay. Super. Okay. Well, we have to get off the TV so that they can set up for our 3:30 meeting. That's all we have this week. We'll be meeting with everyone next month, which is Earth Day month. Councilmember Wilkerson.
I just have a request, Council President. So on our priority strategy, repurposing public property and assets to stimulate private investment, if there's any activity going on around that, could we have an update at our next meeting?
Yes, I will talk to Marlene about that. And then, last but not least, just wanted to give a shout out to Scott Simmons, who's stepping down as Division Director for Public Works. We have worked closely together, he and I, on this committee to lead it for several years now. And Scott, we really appreciate all the time and hard work and vision that you have, and we commend you to your new position at the county. And please remember us while you're there, because we have a lot of collaboration to accomplish with them on so many fronts, but not the least of which is Public Works. So thank you, Scott, so much.
Thanks. Thanks, Council President and all council. Been a pleasure.
Yep. Okay. All right. With that, we're adjourned.